Ladies and gentlemen, esteemed guests, a warm welcome to today's last panel discussion. Before we start, I would like to take a short moment to reflect on these insightful sessions that we had today. It was a day filled with learning, knowledge and inspiration, and I'm really thrilled to continue and close the summit with one final closing engagement and discussion. Today, in an era dominated by digital transformation, we will discuss about data symphony, analytics and intelligence for business success, and we'll delve into the crucial role of data analytics and business intelligence in steering companies towards unparalleled growth and efficiency. We will explore innovative strategies that leading firms implement to harness vast amounts of data, turning them into actionable insights that drive decision-making and operational effectiveness. Joining us are esteemed experts, each bringing a wealth of knowledge and experience to our conversation. So it's my pleasure to introduce the panelists. First, we have Mr. Dusan Mitrev, General Manager of Pivara Skopje, leading the FMCG beverage company in North Macedonia. His prior experiences in consultancy and audit companies, various finance positions in Pivara Skopje, expanding his professional journey as a sales manager, key account in Pivara Skopje, and sales manager for Coca-Cola HBC Bosnia and Herzegovina. Next, we're honored to have Mr. Hassan Yasin, co-founder and chief product officer at Earnest, a Series A startup building and AI-powered modern construction company. He previously was the first hire at LME, a health tech unicorn which provided in-home healthcare services to children with autism throughout the States. At LME, he was the product manager building the software and data analytics stack from 0 to 1, and also scaled growth and operations, customer operations, leading a team of 50 plus from 0 to greater than $25 million in ARR. And last but certainly not least, we're honored to have Mr. Jagdish Ramaswamy, a seasoned digital transformation advisor with more than 38 years of industry experience across telecommunications design, networking and data communications with Motorola, having worked in Singapore and China, international sourcing with Tyco Healthcare in USA, etc. Now that we set the stage and our panelists are ready to share their expertise, let's dive into the heart of the panel. So I'll begin with Mr. Mitrev. As General Manager of Pivara Skopje, how have you integrated advanced analytics into your strategic planning? Can you share an example where data-driven decision-making had a significant impact on your operations or market strategy?
Thank you, Marija. Good day to all. It's a wonderful opportunity to be here. Kudos to Macedonia 2025 for the amazing organization and for raising the bar even higher. And thank you for the opportunity to be part of this panel. When you think that you are the last panel on 2 days, you would expect a half-empty room. But looking at the packed room right now, we realize that probably this is one of the most interesting topics. I mean, otherwise, why would the room would be so full, yeah? Right. Good. Now on the topic, some would say it's strange for me in a company selling Coca-Cola and Skopsko to talk about data, yeah, and what it has to do with it. If you bear with me, I hope that I will prove you wrong. In a nutshell, I can say that we at Pivara Skopje, first we love data, we love insights, we constantly search for and explore data, we embrace, we check relevance, and we adopt it to make use out of in our daily operations. So we fully embrace data, insights, and analytics. In fact, we consider data and data approach one of our core competencies, something that enables us to continue creating value for us and for our customers, particularly in top-line acceleration and streamlining efficiencies. Many of you know that Pivara Skopje is part of 2 global organizations, Coca-Cola HBC and Heineken. This puts us in a unique situation where we can explore solutions provided by our corporates that are proven, tested, developed, and we can deploy them into capturing, digesting, and maximizing use of data and insights into our business. We can look in a nutshell how we approach to this topic. One area is we can actually now personalize how we sell. That means we can tailor shape our approach and our order and delivery of products to each and every customer, regardless of how different and unique they are. We can furthermore personalize how we serve our customers. We can look into different solutions, different models, different assets that we deploy in order to execute our strategy and to win together in the market. We can also see how much we invest and to maximize profitability, both for us and for our customers when we look at promotions. So let me just portray you our context in our business, where we stand, and to bring some examples on data and data usage. We are a FMCG company, fast-moving consumer goods, so that means a mass-scale business. For example, Coca-Cola HBC, one of our corporates, operates in 28 countries. Currently, it has active over 2 million customers, served in average weekly. It has a portfolio of almost 400 different product types in different categories. And let's say on group level, we process over 100 million customer orders and deliveries per year. So that's 100 million actual physical deliveries, not clicks. Yeah? So at the same time, on the other hand, we also have a complex supply chain that makes things happen, meaning that we can have available high-quality products every day for our customers. So how we use data, how we use advanced data, how we use analytics, how we use algorithms. One simple example of data-driven functionality for us is what we call suggested sales order taking. It's a functionality based on numerous variables and developed algorithms with inputs such as sales transactions, customer history, customer profile, dimensions like customer location, type of shopper that he has in his outlet, urbanicity or rurality, micro-location, complementarity of shopper behaviors and other categories next to ours. We use algorithm that helps every day to our sales force into the process of order taking, suggesting what the customer should order and what the customer should order more or less in the portfolio, depending on all these algorithms. That is to avoid out of stock, to make sure that the stocks are available, and to maximize revenue opportunities. This is a functionality that we use several years now. We come to version 3.0. We are yet growing it because, like every algorithm, the machine learns by itself. The more we use it, the more we apply it, the more learnings we apply as well, and we move further. Another example, let's say in a different function, for example, finance function, we have something called robotic, so algorithm that is designed to help people that work in credit control in processing customer orders and looking at credit history, payment history, and managing cash flow and receivables. So based on, again, customer previous behavior, credit rating, payment history, segment, and channel, the robotics actually not just suggest, but do more than half of the work automatically, meaning release or block orders for sales, in that way making it more efficient, streamlined, and enabling us, the employees, to focus on business partnering, talking more with customers. There are many examples of database solutions. I'm sure we'll come to touch upon in the session forward.
That's enough until now. Thank you very much, Mr. Mitrev, for these wonderful examples. And Mr. Yasin, could you discuss how artificial intelligence and analytics are transforming the construction industry? What unique challenges have you faced in this sector until now?
Thank you for the question, and thank you for having me come speak on this topic. Very excited about it. Before going into answering the question, I think it's important to understand some numbers about construction. Construction is a $10 trillion a year industry. About $300 billion a year are spent on lack of coordination, causing rework. 96% of data generated in construction is totally unused. And so when going into the space and designing a better way to basically build construction projects, the first thing that we needed to do was figure out how to use data better. The first element of our business strategy and how we use data is to basically build a unified data platform that tracks everything that happens on the construction site, what progress to measurable goals are actually occurring on a day-to-day basis, how day-to-day changes impact the schedule. Future things with AI that we're incorporating are things like multimodal communication. So what this means is typically we all use software by interacting on a user interface, clicking around, clicking a like button on social media, et cetera. people in the field use software very differently. They often do their best to avoid using software, and so we're creating interfaces where you can do things like, instead of ordering materials and filling out like an e-commerce checkout cart, they're able to write and speak in a voice message and say, hey, I need these materials on site, which replicates their current workflow. We are able to use commercially available AI APIs that anyone can use right now. If you look at ChatGPT, just released a new model where anyone can have a full conversation with it. You can incorporate it into your software in 30 seconds. And so we're able to take voice messages, convert them into a structured list of, hey, I need this material. We're able to store that, and the person in the field is able to interact and create structured data in a way that they previously couldn't, and we're bringing down that number of 96% to a much more usable number. As you can see with the dollar amounts that we're talking about in the field, in the specific fields, there's a lot of value to be captured, and then we basically take that value and invest it into new features like computer vision. We just brought on a product manager who led Amazon's basically grocery store technology, where you could go out in the store, bring a bunch of items into your cart, and just leave the store, and the AI would basically figure out what you bought, what you did, and charge you automatically. And so we want to do that on the construction site, so we can track who did what, were there any safety issues, do we need any more materials, and automatically replenish that. So those are some of the ways that we're trying to incorporate AI into construction.
That was a fascinating perspective for the beginning, Mr. Yasin, thank you. And now, Mr. Ramaswamy, drawing from your wealth of experience in digital transformation leadership, I'd like to explore some different aspects. As a seasoned advisor in digital transformation, could you share a pivotal strategy or initiative from your tenure at Hindalco Industries that significantly enhanced operational efficiency? How did you leverage data analytics in this process?
First of all, Dravo, I learned a few Macedonian words, okay? And thanks to Macedonia 2025 Summit, and Nikita in particular for giving me this opportunity. Thank you so much, and it's been great, wonderful meeting all you people, and I was just telling that culturally we are very similar in India and Macedonians, very similar, which I saw in the flight from Frankfurt to Skopje. Okay, so great to be here. I will answer that question. I know you are under time pressure, but let me take a few minutes to build the foundations so that we do not just think that digital happens by magic. I think we talked about it yesterday about AI, machine learning, deep learning, Gen AI. Those to me are still at 30,000 feet level. I think we all should come down to 5,000 feet level. In terms of the basics, I think there are, if you can just get the slide up. So we have got a framework of what you call as a future smart factory. Okay, so I want to just touch upon a few important things and then tell you 2 or 3 examples of what can be done, what has been done. One most important thing is, do you have the infrastructure? I mean, it is very easy to talk about, doing all AI and ML, but in factories, especially when you are in remote locations, the infrastructure, basic infrastructure of getting data onto the people is so important. So you have to spend time in putting the infrastructure. Number 2, do you have data and is it meaningful and the right quality? That's the second focus. So if you know, we have 100% of data. Today, the world uses only 15%. We all use, organizations, only 15% of data. Out of that, you get insights only out of 1% of data. So that's the truth of where we are today in terms of using data to generate insights and actions. So the second focus for us was get the data basics right in terms of getting the data, plus, more important, connecting the data to what is the problem you're trying to solve. Because I don't think anybody does digital just because they want to do digital. What's the problem you're trying to solve? And when you talk about manufacturing, the third and most important part is you have operators in the manufacturing or the supervisors who do not understand AI. So how do you translate digital in the language that the person on the shop floor is able to understand and adopt? So these are very 3 key pillars, I would say, very important for you to build the foundation for what we call as digital transformation. Now, having said that, if you look at manufacturing, there are four areas which I see, and all of us agree. One is safety. The second one is quality, which is directly impacting the customer. Third is your plant availability or uptime, 24/7. Is it available? Fourth is, if everything is available, are you productive in terms of cost? These are the only four things that matter. And, I have learned this from the likes of Mike, having worked in GE and Motorola. This is what we learned, right? What are the four things? Be focused. Quality, cost, plant uptime and efficiency, and safety. Just focus on these four. When you look at these four, what are the examples, for example, right? Can you make sure that you're using digital to ensure the workplace safety is ensured? How do you do it? You can monitor people in the plant, where they are working, what they are doing. Are they going to unsafe places? Are they crossing the lines in terms of without helmet? So that's the first thing. We have all the factories today have, if somebody doesn't wear a helmet or the jacket, safety jacket, you get an alert. Now that was not possible in a pre-digital era. Now the question is, how do you use it? It's about culture. So I want to just integrate the digital technology with the culture that we need to adopt. If the manager has a lot of signals, but he ignores the signals, people get the messaging that's saying it's not important. So while the data throws up that safety is important, the action matters. When the data is thrown at you, how do you act? Second example on quality. Now, we do manufacture, what the soft drinks that you have in the aluminum can. That can body stock, which actually that is manufactured by my company where I used to work now. How do you ensure that when that coil stock goes to the person who is making the can, he doesn't find defects? So can you predict the quality of the can, which the customer is going to inherit, and prevent it in your factory? And that's what we use the machine learning to prevent quality issues being passed on to the customer. So you can use digital for improving your in-process, replace that by your old SQC, which is your SPC charts, and use digital to predict future failures. By doing this, we have now got our error rates, the rejection rate from 5% to 1%. That's a big thing, right? The other example I'll give you on uptime. Identify your critical assets which are prone to failure. And all of us have that data in some form or the other, right? So what are your most critical assets that is prone to failure, or the assets which are really critical for you from a perspective of production getting shut down? So on that, we have done preventive maintenance and predictive maintenance. How do you do it? You actually take the data which is available, and many of the times, if you go back to your old records, you will not have the data because someone has written in some Excel sheet and it's not there. So never mind. Just start putting your sensors on the critical assets, start capturing data, and build a model basically for maintenance of those assets. And we have done it for many equipments, and it gives you huge impact immediately. Second is, it helps you, for those of you who are running factories, you know that we do maintenance by time-based maintenance, right? Now, by using digital assets for predictive maintenance, you can move from time-based maintenance to condition-based maintenance. And that saves you money in terms of maintenance cost. That helps you to consolidate spares, which you hold in all your factories. It's a lot of money to be had in terms of efficiency of shop floor. So if you get your quality right by using predictive models, if you get your critical equipments under predictive maintenance, if you get your skilled operators, I think your utilization of the factory and then put on it the safety, I think the people aspect is all taken care, and that's what you have done. So if you look at this model is what we use for smart factories. I just summarized it to you. Before we go into AI and ML, I think it's important for you to have a visibility of what's happening in the operations. So today, in our plant, a shift report that takes 8 hours, today it takes 1 hour. You have the shift report of what happened in the last hour, what happened in the last shift. A senior manager today gets that report in a fraction of minutes. He doesn't need to wait for 5 people churning out Excels and then giving the report. So that's what brings transparency, visibility, end-to-end visibility, and using the 3 critical: quality, asset maintenance, cost, and safety. I think you can do wonders. Before you move to AI and ML, that's the next step.
Thank you, Mr. Ramaswamy. And back to Mr. Mitrev. Having in mind Pivara's Skopje diverse beverage portfolio, how does your company use consumer and customer data analytics to tailor product offerings and marketing strategies to meet changing consumer preferences?
Thank you. We are a customer-centric organization, as we call it. What does it mean? That means that we put customers in the center, in the heart of whatever that we do. Data insight and analytics are integral part of approaching those customers, understanding them, and creating tailor-made solutions that, together with our diverse portfolio, satisfy their needs. Now, if you look at our brands, for example, Coca-Cola celebrated 138 years last week. Heineken celebrated 150 years last year. And this year we have a 100-year celebration for Skopsko, our pride and joy. The question is how these brands stay young, relevant, innovative for the next 100 and 200 years and years to come. Well, data has a big part of the answer to that question. And data, insights, and analytics enable us to move forward and to understand our customers today, but also to understand our customers and shoppers for tomorrow. Now, in the previous session, several times it was mentioned relevance. And in the sea or the ocean of data, not everything is relevant, of course. And we use the same approach like in other areas, and also when we talk about data, we focus and we prioritize. Internally, we have selected 4 cases, areas where we are advancing on data insights and analytics. I will start with probably the most important one when it comes to customers. I will skip the part for shoppers, because shopper and marketing and Coca-Cola, we should pick one day. So when we talk about customers, the first pillar is what we call segmented market execution, or segmenting the way how we approach to customers. All data that we gather, digest, analyze, and deploy, and algorithms that we develop enable us to build further our capabilities to segment our customers from their unique point of stand. Meaning we don't approach our customers one size fits all, but we understand them and we shape our approach based on their specifics. That's the concept of S equals 1. So if you remember, I mentioned 2 million customers in the group level, 12,000 customers only in Macedonia, but we treat each and every one of them as unique. The model works quite complex and it constantly learns. There are a lot of dimensions taken into consideration. Some of them I mentioned before. We add not just dimensions that give us information that are specific for the customer, but also for the shoppers visiting the HoReCa outlet or visiting the supermarket or the LNT store. We add also information of customer reviews. We know which hour of the day traffic is peak, which cuisine is served, complementarity of our products, which is the occasion, and the revenue pools. So in order to know how much and in which form to invest to maximize output on our side and also for our customers. In this area of segmented market execution for customers, I will bring you an example of what we use already several years. We call it image recognition and video recognition functionality. So what does it mean? When our sales force, our sales guy enters an outlet, through his iPad, he has a functionality where by taking a picture of the cooler or on the shelf or on the beverage section, or now, as of last year, even taking a large video with a phone, within seconds, he can get data, but also the company can get data. What is the condition of the cooler? Is it stocked enough or there is gap to be filled? What is the ratio of brands filled into the cooler, etc.? And immediately it goes both ways. It gives a recommendation what actions should be taken, but also it gives us back in the office to know how we stand real time, every day, with each and every single customer. So that is, we really believe that data is a treasure, and this is how we use it. When we talk about coolers further, we have a functionality combined with these two that is something is called connected coolers. So through technology, we have real-time data of coolers that are connected through beacon and through network, mobile networks, ship us real-time data, how many times the cooler is opened within the day, which are the peak hours of the cooler, how much electricity does it use, when it makes sense to be operating and to chill the products, and when perhaps it should be shut down. It connects with working hours. So I'm bringing all these elements to picture to everybody how we leverage and how we use data. Other areas I would highlight is promo management. So whoever is in FMCG understands that it makes a difference how much you give for a shopper offer on promo deal and what you get in return, what's the break even, what's the payback, etc. Advanced machine learning and a lot of dimensions as inputs enable us to understand how much, how long, in which channel, what we should promote and what we should not promote in order to maximize return on investment of what we put. And briefly, areas, not everything to be on customers and shoppers, we were discussing. So on the supply chain side, you can understand the forecasting accuracy needed in order to have fresh products every day. We don't get order Coke today and get it in 2 months. So we get the order today and we deliver tomorrow. That means we should have products available, already produced, even before knowing how much we will have as orders. So big data advanced analytics helps in the area of demand forecasting, both on the demand and the supply side. And this is already launched and deployed in our operations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Yasin, can you share insights on how data analytics help you scale customer operations and growth at LME? What metrics were most crucial for driving decisions and achieving over $25 million in ARR?
Thank you for the question. Just for context, LME was an in-home autism therapy business. And what we did was we matched children with autism in the United States with therapists who could go into their homes and provide them with high-quality clinical care. In the US, believe it or not, despite all the money we spend on healthcare, nobody has a great experience with their insurance company. And so we took that on ourselves to basically facilitate matching and working with your insurance company. So when scaling from 0 to 25 million in revenue, and we did that in about 18 months. And with good quality operations, it's really about asking questions. So the first question are, what are my variables? And my variables are, how many people want my service? How many people are there to provide that service? So children and families that need care, therapists, people who are either willing to be trained or can provide the service. And lastly, how many people do I need in my company to help support this? And as a business, as we grow, we try to continue to optimize that, each of those variables. So with the first variable, we measure every step of the process from when a potential family first reaches out to us, all the way into starting care with us. So key metrics there are who's in each step of this, how many people are in each step of that process, what percentage of them move from what's each step of the process, and how much time it takes. Then we instruct basically our operations teams to convert more, move faster, because we're trying to provide a good quality experience. We then use those numbers to say, how many clinicians do we need on our platform and where do they need to be geographically since we're going to their homes? So same metrics there. We have a projected demand of this many families in this particular area. We need to onboard 100 therapists in, say, Miami, Florida. We look at, say, okay, it takes us on average 3 weeks to recruit an individual therapist and vet them and train them. So we need to proactively recruit this many people in this particular region. And then lastly, in operations, you need basically start with a fixed ratio of how many people do I need to support. So customer service people, insurance people, and so if I have 10 people that support one person that supports 10 families, if I expect to onboard 100 families, I need to hire 10 people. And then as business scales, you continue to try to increase your efficiency. So you need to have technology, processes, et cetera, to continue to improve that. And you measure how well am I doing. All of those metrics ultimately lead into how much revenue and how many families I'm able to help provide clinical care. The last thing I'll say is when we started with a Google spreadsheet. And in 3 months, we built a data analytical data warehouse, BI tool to automate all of that. But just to make it more applicable to everybody, you don't need complex data often. Simple data, as long as you're asking the right questions, goes a long way. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Ramaswamy, in your experience, what are the key data-driven practices that lead to operational excellence in heavy industry like aluminum and copper production? Could you provide an example of how analytics play a role in cost reduction or maybe quality improvement?
Sure. So I did provide 2-3 examples, but let me specifically give you 2-3 very examples which you can take back into your own operations. One, all of us talk about digital twin, right? So just imagine your entire end-to-end value chain. Today, if you have to improve the productivity, let's say by 20%, what would you do? You would actually do a time study, time and motion study, right? In the old world, you will go and do a time and motion study. You will put 3 engineers to do that for over 3 months. By the time the processor got changed, and you have no view of what you got into, right? Just imagine a world where today, if you can capture real time exactly what's happening on a daily basis in the production floor, I have my entire value stream mapped in terms of data in a matter of days. So what we did in a factory is take the data out of the entire end-to-end in terms of when the raw material got fed, when did it move to the next stage, what is the wait time, what is the queue time, what is the processing time, and you just look at it, your entire value stream mapping is done real time, okay? And then the second part of looking at is variability, Are you consistent every day? Are you able to turn around, let's say, 2 days is our coil turnaround time. So we looked at every coil, are we able to turn around in 2 days? Or some coil takes 2.2, some coil take 1.8. This data also gives you the huge ability to reduce your variation. So this is what we call as very simple, build a digital twin of your process. And when you have a process flow, it's so easy to improve your process almost on a daily basis. And when that process flow gets disturbed, the manager gets an alert that today something is not right. And that's what we call takt time in our lean days, right? Takt, when Toyota called this takt, that's nothing but is the shop floor running in the rhythm that it's supposed to run. Today you can convert the entire shop floor into a digital twin and get a rhythm of whether everything is okay or not okay. This is one example. What does it give you? It gives you consistency. It gives you opportunity for improvement on where exactly is the problem. Data throws up that opportunity. You don't need people to go and figure out what's happening because you have the data, real-time data of every operation. This is one example. And by this, the turnaround time reduced by 35% just by doing a digital twin of the process. The second is in our industry, and steel, aluminum, or copper are very intensive on power. They consume a lot of energy. And we have been talking about ESG for the last 2 days, but your entire money is on how you are able to save a few dollars in consuming less energy. And so you build a digital twin of the entire power plant to basically tell you whether the power plant is running reliably or where are the opportunities for improvement. What is the efficiency of the power plant? So you build a digital twin which gives you real-time view of efficiency of the plant, and then you build a real-time twin of your most critical process. In our case, in copper and aluminum, we have something called a smelter, which actually converts the powder into the final metal, right? So build a digital twin of your critical processes, and then you can simulate. The advantage of building the digital twin is that you can simulate an experiment offline. You don't need to do experiment online. So this is a great advantage of building digital twins. So by building digital twins of processes, digital twin of a critical process parameters. Third one is build a digital twin of your operators. And when I say that, if I put a set of operators on a line on a particular day and the crew changes the next day, are they able to give you the same productivity? Why are they different? Is it skill level? Is it the way, the discipline? So if you can convert everything that you do in operations, critical operations, into data and build digital twins, I can tell you it will give you huge benefits. So we have got benefits in improving quality. We have got benefits in reducing downtime of plants when we build the predictive maintenance on critical assets. We have got benefits on turnaround time by building a digital twin on end-to-end process. We have got benefits also on areas where normally you would not try to do. For example, smelter is very, very mechanical and metallurgical. If you take pharma industry, for example, there's a lot of science, which we call as models built on first principles. Now, the question is, can I build a digital twin on a first principle model? The answer is yes. So the first principle model and the digital database model can live together and give you great benefits if it helps any of you here in the audience. That's what I wanted to say.
Thank you. As we near the end of the discussion, let's broaden our perspective by hearing from Mr. Yasin again. Looking ahead, how do you envision the use of predictive analytics in enhancing productivity and efficiency in the construction industry? What new developments in AI should companies in this field be prepared to adopt in the next period?
Thank you for the question. I'd say, thinking about this, the most important thing that comes to mind is really the balance between design of construction, so your architects, engineers, and execution of construction. Historically, the two, you designed in a corner and you executed in a corner. So if you ask an architect a question like, if I replace this light with this light, how much does it cost? The answer is, I don't know. They'll go, but this light looks better, so we'll go with that one. What we are excited about with our basically purview into construction is once you digitize and create a structured data repository of, let's say, thousands or hundreds of thousands of construction projects, and we have those numbers across all of the world, you can feed that back into design decisions you make upstream when you have no idea about the costs and you're designing in a vacuum, or you have little idea. And when you layer on technologies like computer vision, for example, you look at a piece of a construction plan and say, well, if I change this, how much is it going to cost? If I change this, how much is it going to cost? Because when you're dealing with the physical world, you have physical costs associated with those decisions. Secondly, you can identify things that are likely to clash with each other based on your structured data. So, for example, if you have this light post too close to this other object, how likely are you going to have problems when you actually execute? That historically has just been learned by people who've been doing this thing for a very long time. And mind you, construction is probably one of the oldest industries in human history, right? We've been building things since we were first on this planet. I think the other things that are really interesting are things around communication. The reality of the construction world is those that are often building don't speak the language of those who decide what is being built, especially in the United States. So real-time, basically translation technology exists, it's commercially available, you can download it on your phone. We're gonna start using that, we're gonna break down barriers. Going back to that number I mentioned in my first question where, $300 billion a year is just lost on people not being able to talk to each other at the right time. For numbers, that's like, a pretty significant amount of money that's just wasted for no reason. So those are some of the things that I think I'm excited about.
Thanks. Mr. Mitrev, with your expertise in consumer behavior insights, what emerging trends in data analytics and business intelligence do you see as transformative for the FMCG sector? How is Pivara Skopje preparing to adopt these innovations?
So the last 2 days was a lot discussed on what is coming in terms of artificial intelligence, and apparently FMCG, or a beverage industry, is not immune, but on the other hand, very much affected. It's not a question of if we are going to use these functionalities, that are already here. It's a question on when and how. When, I can say that we are already heavily working on how to embrace, first to understand what is it as a functionality, to do our homework in terms of do's and don'ts, to put a framework or governance, how we will use it, and to maximize benefit. And there are many, many areas where we can see benefit even as of now. So just imagine shooting a video commercial. In reality, up till now, you need serious production team, you need actors, if any, you need scenes, preparations, etc. It can take up to millions of euros or dollars. Functionality of artificial intelligence to create videos today actually almost mirrors the quality of a real shoot commercial. So both in quality and in speed. Imagine customer care, scaling customer care for each and every customer real time. Imagine planning, imagine other areas. So really we see quite a lot of benefits, and we are working first by ourselves to increase our capabilities and understanding, but also with partners and alliances so that we create common solutions for mutual benefit.
Thank you. Last question from Mr. Ramaswamy. What do you see as the next big trend in digital transformation for an industry like yours? How should companies prepare to integrate upcoming technological advancements into their daily operations?
So let me just add on to what I already said about the individual pieces of the puzzle. The quality, the uptime and downtime, and safety, and plus productivity, right? So first build these basic fundamental blocks where you have a data-based models of this. And the emerging trend that I see is, just go back to the last panel discussion where they talked about health indicator, right? Just imagine that AI is going to predict a health of a plant from the data. You don't need to go and take a walk around. It just tells you, okay, your quality pulse is all fine. Your equipments are all in good shape. They're not likely to fail. You have all the raw materials available. Inventory is in good shape. You have productivity, people are all there, and you're very likely to meet the customer shipments today. And Mr. Plant Manager, you don't need to go to the plant for the next 3 days because everything seems to be in good order. That's the way I see the manufacturing AI evolving into an indicator at a plant level to see health of your operations, is it good? Plus, it also gives you, we are not there yet, but just imagine that something that is wrong, exactly like the way the body functions. When there is something that is abnormal, but you do not know it, right? A data-based digital twin has that opportunity to tell you that, look, while the plant is running today, there's something abnormal. I don't know what it is. So this is an indicator that the manufacturing is going in that. The second thing that I see as a trend is, we did discuss yesterday, today we are just talking about my plant. But imagine that I'm going to connect my plant to my customer's plant and to my supplier's plant. And that's the world, where there are no boundaries between you, your suppliers, and your customers, and everybody works on data to improve the entire end-to-end value chain. It's no more about me, it's about collaboration, right? So that's the trend I'm seeing, how AI can be leveraged if you want to win in this digital battle. If you're going to just do transformation within your plant and not include your customers and the key suppliers, I think the win will not be there. That's what I see as a trend.
Thank you. Now I will ask the question that we received from the audience, and the first one is for Mr. Dusan Mitrev. What is the percentage of robotic usage in factory compared to human labor?
Thank you. I have to say that applying data and algorithm and robotic usage, we don't see it to trade off people and human touch at all. So that's number one. We see it as addition for things that can be automated, operated, and supported by algorithms. We have deployed across functions, I believe, up to 20 robots, what we call it. We have around 5 or 6 in finance, 6 or 7 in supply chain, the rest in commercial. It's not easy to call out the ratio because it's a ratio of processes, not outputs, but we're still people manage business. Thank you.
Thank you. Hassan, Can you tell how do you encourage a data-driven culture within your organization?
That's a good question. A very valuable question. I'd say that if you're in charge of your organization's culture, it starts from the top, right? How do you communicate and what you communicate about to, no matter where you are in the organization, if you're using metrics and asking for metrics, that creates the culture. So when I speak to my employees about a process or a product that we're creating, it's all about what metrics are we moving. They will follow kind of your lead. Secondly, I think it's a culture of collecting data based on the questions that are critical to your business. So if you're producing items in a factory, right? What are every step of the production, measuring every item, every time in step, et cetera, and using that on a daily basis. I think you mentioned, for example, that if you're collecting data, asking for data and not using data, it gets lost, right? Or it's just alerting, so you actually have to use it.
Okay, we have the same question for Mr. Dusan Mitrev. Should I repeat it or you can answer? Yeah, how do you encourage a data-driven culture within your organization?
In short, because we're nearing our time, so I will simplify that strategy and implementation equals data usage, and data usage is actually how you design your strategy and implement it. So it starts from strategy, understanding that you can run your business through data-driven platforms. Data is crucial and important to understand your shoppers and your customers, to stay up to date in order that you know that you are up to date and you create meaningful solutions that address their needs. And bear in mind that this is a dynamic component. So customers and shoppers today are not the same as customers and shoppers tomorrow. So it's not a question whether you will lose it or not. It's simply you need it to run your business and to achieve your strategy and mission. It's important to put governance around it. Whoever works with systems and processes understands the saying garbage in, garbage out. So quality of data, importance of data, and governance around it, discipline, if you will, is crucial so that you have a relevant, up-to-date, clean, true, accurate data in order to deploy it for decision-making and for operations.
Thanks. And Mr. Jagdish, do you use any particular software for creating a digital twin?
Okay, before I answer that question, I want to just add to the previous question, because I think that is the crux of digital transformation, that if you just do not get the culture in terms of people, all the technology that we spoke about is absolutely no use. So I want to add a few of what we have done, which is benefit to the audience here. One, I think give this digital transformation to your young digital natives in the organization, because they are savvy, they run fast, and then make them as reverse mentors for your senior managers. Number two, translate whatever you're talking about technology to what it means to the shop floor operator on the shop floor, right? And in the Indian context, it could be very different in your context, but your ability to translate the adoption to a level that that person can understand is very important, right? So how do we do it? So for example, you have the morning meetings every day, right? So you just say morning meetings do not happen on paper anymore. You just have the big dashboard and people discuss about what happened not yesterday. They discuss what happened the last hour. So this practice has to change and it has to come from the top. You know, you cannot say, okay, all of you look at data, but I'm the plant manager, I don't need to look at data. That culture won't change anything on the ground. The third one is very important, is spend a lot of time in educating your people, of course, but most important is, in our experience, the middle management. Why? Because they all think that we, the people who drive digital, believe that they know what is digital, but actually they don't know what is digital. So in a digital transformation, it's okay to accept that I don't know anything. So you have to create an environment where people are open to saying, I do not know, and then spend time in educating them, change the practices to database practices, and make sure people actually do that as a routine every day, then only it's a culture. Otherwise, it will just become a few top people discussing in the boardroom, but nothing gets translated on the ground. So culturally, that's very important. For me, I think that brings the change. And just to come back to the question on digital twin, I think I spoke a lot on how digital twins can be applied. And with now the Gen AI, which is now becoming the next big thing, probably it will predict what is going to happen to your factory. It will give a note to the operations manager as to what he should do tomorrow to make sure the factory runs well. So digital twins we use all over the place, and it's up to you to decide where it is relevant. It's not about just building digital twin because everybody is doing it.
Thanks. And Hassan, what's the best first step into AI for a business? Can you tell us from your point of view?
So I think when thinking about where to apply AI into your business, it goes back to, what is the biggest business problem you're trying to solve? I think, when AI, I think, the most popular form, easiest to implement, is probably chat-based large language models for productivity improvements. I think there was, yesterday's session showed co-pilots in PowerPoint, Excel, et cetera. Those are the quickest to implement, easiest to show lift, and often get employee buy-in because you're eliminating things they don't like to do. I think when you get to more mature or complex processes that are probabilistic, you need to make sure you have enough data to support those processes, and especially around the fault tolerance of those processes. So I would say introduce co-pilots, large language models, or chat-based large language models. You can apply them to, generally speaking, any form of knowledge work, everything from software engineering to writing emails in a consistent format to just formatting spreadsheets, et cetera, which are very common, annoying tasks to get that organizational buy-in. But I think large lift is really using your company's repository of information to tackle probabilistic business processes.
Thank you. As we approach the conclusion of our panel discussion, I'd like to invite each of you to share with us some final remarks. This is an opportunity for you to provide any closing thought or reflection that you had on the topic that we've discussed today. I suggest to start with Mr. Ramaswamy, followed by Mr. Mitrev, and closing with Mr. Yasin.
Okay, my comment is just going back to the previous panel where they discussed that it is over-promised, under-delivered. We are currently there. I think the technology pieces, people have figured out how each of the technologies work, how AI works, how ML works, how Gen AI and co-pilots. We know all of this, how it works. But I think the most important is to align it to your business context. Make sure you are not too ambitious to transform. In manufacturing, it's not very easy to transform. Culturally, depends on how old you are. So be patient, spend time with your people, educate them, and make it as a way of life. If you want the transformation to really, truly stay, make it way of life, take one step at a time, and keep educating people. And as senior manager, when I say people, it includes senior managers. So I ask my people, what did you learn new in the last 30 days? That's the question that you have to ask people.
Thank you. Yasin?
Okay. I would say, I think I have two sort of reflections to share. I think one is around the case for optimism with AI. I think there's a lot of discussion around, will it take my job? Will I lose my job to a robot? I think the case for optimism is AI brings us to a universe where what matters most is not what you know right now, but the type of questions you ask, your work ethic, your ability to creatively problem solve. And what that means is we're actually at a huge area for opportunity, especially from those that come from less than privileged backgrounds, whether it be a byproduct of where you were born or where you're from. You can learn how to do anything now. You can ask ChatGPT, how do I start a business? And then be like, here's a five 5-step business plan. You can go execute it against it. And I think that's kind of amazing. I think people should look at, what opportunities can I get from it? And I think the world will be transformed because it matters less what you know now, what you've studied, and more about your ability to pick up and learn, and you have an endless repository of information. The second reflection, I feel a lot of gratitude for being invited to speak at this conference, and the irony of thinking about data and statistics with respect to business. And I was reflecting on, by virtue of my upbringing, I'm a Pakistani American living in Miami, speaking on data and AI at a conference in Macedonia. And I think that is a case for optimism. So, thank you.
Mr. Mitrev, before we hear your final thoughts, I have just received another question for you. Given your focus on ESG initiatives, could you discuss how data analytics supports your sustainability goals? How do you measure the effectiveness of these initiatives in your operations?
Okay. I will answer the question valid for all industries and businesses. Who is into ESG probably understands the biggest pain point into making the efforts come into life is the complexity in quantifying what is going on. It's like how you measure your carbon footprint, yeah? And not just looking at yourself in your organization, but looking in your entire supply chain, if you will. Big data, advanced analytic, insights, computing, algorithms, and even artificial intelligence now plays a crucial role into this. So in order to claim if you are successful at what you say, whether you walk the talk, is actually key enabler to do that is data and insights and analytics, and this is how it's related and how it contributes.
It's nice to hear that, thank you. And ladies and gentlemen, as we come to the end of the conclusion of this panel discussion, I would like to extend my heartfelt gratitude to our estimated panelists for their insightful contribution and thought-provoking dialogue. The wealth of knowledge and expertise shared by our panelists has provided us with valuable insights and perspectives that will undoubtedly resonate with us long after today. As we prepare to depart from this session, I encourage you to reflect on the insights gained and continue the conversation beyond these walls. Let today's discussion serve as a catalyst for further exploration, collaboration, and action in our respective fields. Once again, thank you to all of you. Thank you to the audience for your attention and your active participation. And I really hope so that we will have an opportunity for further collaboration.